Zweig Group invites all AEC industry leaders to the 2024 AEC Small Business and Entrepreneurship Forum, the premier event for small firms in the AEC sector. Experience innovative strategies and insights on May 21st, crafted by Zweig Group's industry experts. Engage in keynotes and interactive sessions focused on recruitment, retention, and business growth. Join Zweig Group for this unique networking opportunity and take your business to new heights. Secure your spot today and be part of the AEC industry's future. Visit zweiggroup.com for more information. The Zweig Group team looks forward to welcoming you.
Welcome to the Zweig Letter Podcast, putting architectural, engineering, planning, and environmental consulting guru Mark Zweig's straight talk in your ear. Mark has more than 30 years of experience helping AEP and environmental firms thrive. And these podcasts help deliver his invaluable management, industry, client, and HR advice directly to you, free of charge. The Zweig Letter Podcasts let you develop professionally, wherever you are.
Hey folks, it's Randy Wilburn here again with another Zweig Letter Podcast. So excited to be with Mark Zweig again. He's not his full self though. As I look across the table, he's got a couple of his digits wrapped up. He just had a surgery and had a little accident a couple of weeks ago on his motorcycle. Thankfully, he's okay. His motorcycle, well, that's another story. And let's just say it wasn't his fault. Mark, we are so glad to see you all in one piece today. Got a great topic to talk about. You wrote an article not too long ago about shedding the negative energy. And, I know you and I talk about just being positive and encouraging others and encouraging people here at Zweig. And, even in your other business, how important it is just to kind of let people know where they stand and also just to know when to let some of the excess baggage go so that you can move forward and achieve some of the things that you hope to achieve both on a professional level as well as on a personal level. So why don't you talk a little bit about just that whole idea of shedding the negative energy and why it's so important to understand that you do get what you put out, good or bad.
Yeah, it's one of those topics. It's easy to talk about it. It's a lot harder to do in real life.
Yeah.
So to some extent, I'm preaching to myself when I talk about this, but I realize how important it is. You simply cannot let the negatives preoccupy you, because if you do, you're not going to be doing the things that you need to do to take your life forward or your business forward. And, we've all been wronged by people, or we've all been screwed by people, or we've all had other people do stuff that upsets us or misunderstand us, things that hurt. But you got to let go of it, because if you can't, you're stuck. And, I see it in business all the time. The result of it in business is you make bad decisions. You're preoccupied with your competitors instead of what you should be doing yourself with your business.
Right.
Then you're on the defense all the time. You're not going to lead. You'll always be a Me Too firm if you're always looking to the other guy, seeing what they're doing. And, not to mention the fact that clients don't want to hear negatives about your competitors from you.
Right.
It just makes you look bad.
Yeah.
So there's just so many aspects of this that I think are really critical to you. And it's probably one of the most important things you can do if you want to be happy and successful in your life, and one of the most difficult.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I know lately you've been putting out a lot of positive messages on Facebook and Facebook Live and on the Zweig Group Facebook page, and just, there's just been a overall level of positivity that you're trying to imbue and share with others. What do you think is, probably the most important thing that someone in the design industry, specifically in the AE space, can do to really encourage, just encourage a lack of negativity and to avoid it when possible?
Well, first off, you have to set a good example yourself. So you've got to keep your own headspace in the right place. And then, of course, it comes down to, smiling more, telling jokes, acting like the world is not coming to an end. We're all seeing people, having reactions to the election or whatever, and there's a lot of negativity out there in people and in social media. And you've got to set the right example yourself. You can't play into all that, because if you do, then you're going to suck other people into your vortex of negativity. So you have to be an island of positivity.
Yeah.
And the other thing is too, you can't save everybody. Not everybody's going to get this idea. Sometimes you will have people in your business that don't get it, and they can't control their emotions, and they may have to go. And so, you've got to surround yourself with the right friends. You've got to surround yourself with the right workers in the office, employees, business partners, key people.
Mm-hmm.
If you have the ones that are negative, then it's seeking vengeance against other people all the time, preoccupied with the past. You've got to do something about it. You can't just let it go on, because they really will pollute the attitudes of other people. So set the best example you can and surround yourself with other people who get it. Okay. I think those are two really critical things.
Yeah. Would you be willing to share a situation where you allowed negativity to get the best of you, and maybe you could have handled things differently with the outcome?
Well, I think we've all had those situations with employees, or former employers, where you're preoccupied with them and how they wronged you, or and you want to get them back, and it's just not worth it. I mean, I've had a million situations like that. I think we all have.
Yeah.
Or where your spouse says something that's upsetting to you, and then you say something upsetting back that you regret later. And it's because you're dwelling, or they say something to you and then you let it sit for days and then you come back to it.
Right.
None of that is good.
Yeah.
You just can't do it. You've got to be in control of your head. And I think part of that, is influenced too by things like, do you get enough sleep? Do you get exercise?
Yeah.
Do you eat right?
Yeah.
Like, I've done all those things right, and I've done all those things wrong. Okay. So I certainly understand the difference in how it makes you feel. And then that in turn affects your mental state.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and you bring up a good point. It reminds me of a situation that I was in not too long ago, where I really, I was confronted with an issue, and I wanted to respond to some people right away with my feelings. And I caught myself in the middle of it. And I said, you know what, I'm going to wait. I'm going to let myself relax a little bit, think about the process. I've always told people that, your tongue, the words that come out of your mouth, have the ability to bring life and encouragement, and they can also bring death. I mean, they can discouragement. I mean, you have to be mindful about the things you say. That's why words are so important. I think it's also, I don't want to get political. It's one of the reasons why, people remark about some of the comments that have been made recently by the president-elect Trump. And again, whether you're for Trump or against Trump, and it's neither here nor there, words matter. And how you use them it certainly matters. And you need to think long and hard about what words you choose to use and what words you don't choose to use. And so I think it's part of this whole idea of shedding that negative energy is also taking a step back when you feel like you've got to respond to something instantly, and kind of waiting for a minute and just letting things die down some before you do that. Because whenever you respond in the heat of the moment, nothing good can come out of it. Of course, we all want to be heard, but at the same time, I mean, you've got to be mindful of other people's feelings. It's really, really important.
Yep, it really is. And I think it's all good stuff. And it's amazing when you can keep yourself positive, you're more receptive to opportunities too. And they just seem to come to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
This week is a great example. I feel like both really started the week out and said, this is going to be a great week. I'm going to be positive. And, Monday was an unbelievable day. Tuesday was an unbelievable day. It just seems like the opportunities just come to you.
Yeah.
And they almost seek you out like a magnet.
Yeah.
When you're positive.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, could we be talking about the law of attraction? I don't know.
I don't know either, but it's interesting to see what happens. And it seems like there's so many different, examples of how this works to your favor.
Right.
But again, it's very easy to talk about it. It's much harder to do. It takes a real conscious effort. You really have to remind yourself continuously. It's part of what I do is, one of the benefits of writing regularly or doing podcasts or doing Facebook messages is it forces you to think about what you're trying to do yourself and then organize that thought and present it. And when you do, it's much more likely that you're going to be able to do it yourself.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly find it to be cathartic. Even these podcasts are great because it allows, sometimes I'm not exactly sure what I want to say or how I want to say it, but it just things just seem to come together. And there's this kind of kismet that happens where it's just, wow, okay, this really makes sense. And, you're always worried. I know even for, people that are listening to this podcast, maybe you're a firm out there that wants to do a podcast or do something else along those lines. But then your constant refrain is, well, nobody's going to really listen to me or nobody wants to listen. My encouragement is just to get out and do it, because the reality is that you'd be surprised who's listening. And I'm always amazed. And I know we got a really cool email a couple of weeks ago from a client who's also a listener to this particular podcast. And Mike, if you're listening, we really appreciate you sharing that great, terrific feedback about the podcast and about our company. And we certainly will take it to heart. And if nothing else, it just warms my heart to know that somebody's actually listening out there and that what we're sharing is edifying for them. And so I always tell people, don't worry about it, because, in terms of, your audience or who you're dealing with, there's always going to be somebody out there listening. And in the same way, with regard to shedding the negative energy, you've got to put out good stuff, because good stuff will come back to you always. And so that feedback that we got from Mike was a prime example of that. And we certainly heard you on your feedback, Mike, and we're going to continue to make some changes here at the Zweig Letter Podcast. And we hope you like those changes and that it makes your listening experience even better coming in 2017. So stay tuned for that. And I mean, Mark, you got anything else you want to add just to this idea?
No, my only suggestion is just try it.
Yeah.
Try it and you'll see the results. That'll make you want to do it more.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Well, folks, again, we want to thank you so much for taking out time in your day, whether you're driving or running on a treadmill or running out in cross country or skiing or whatever you're doing, and you've decided to put us in your ears. We really appreciate it. The Zweig Letter Podcast is here to give you some information, some insight, and to help you continue to do better in your role as a leader or as an employee at a design firm, or architect, engineering firm. It doesn't really matter. You don't even have to work in the design industry to get something from this podcast, but we really appreciate it. We're, as always, we're available on iTunes. You can find us on YouTube. You can check Mark out on Facebook Live at facebook.com/Zweig Group. Mark is going to be doing a lot of Facebook Live messages on a regular basis. So there are multiple channels where you can reach out to us and touch us and hear from us. And I mean, Mark's got so much information in his head that we're going to try to figure out ways to excise it little by little and share it with as many people who will listen. So again, we want to thank you so much for taking time out. And we also have a free gift. And I hate not mentioning this, but just go to zweiggroup.com/free TZL. And we'll give you a 6-week subscription to the Zweig Letter. You can get that subscription electronically, and the PDF will come right into your inbox on Monday morning, and you can find out the latest and greatest. You can read Mark's fabulous editorials and check out all of the different things that are happening in the design industry throughout the country. So again, we thank you so much for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Bye for now.
Thanks for tuning in to this Zweig Letter Podcast. We hope that you can apply Mark's no-holds-barred advice to your daily professional life. For a free 6-week subscription to the Zweig Letter, please visit freetzl.zweiggroup.com to gain more wisdom and inspiration, in addition to information about leadership, finance, HR, and marketing your firm. Subscribe today.